Hello, this is Mavis Majura presenting a paper on organizational role analysis. And the role analysis is going to be on an organization that I work for, and this organization is called Training B2BCC. And my role in that organization, so I'll briefly discuss the structure of the organization. And the organizational structure has the managing director, as the head of that system or that organization. And below the managing director, there's a training consultant, and also there's a marketing manager. And below the training consultant and the marketing manager, there's moderators and assessors and facilitators. But our moderators and assessors are external. They are freelancers. So they don't really work with us full time. So they come as and when there's work, as well as our facilitators. They don't really work with us full time. They are just external consultants that come in when there's work and they facilitate, they get paid, and they leave. We also have business development or telesales consultant. And in the business development and telesales consultant, we currently have two people, and one of the two people is a new hire, and I'll discuss more about this new hire as I talk about the presenting problem. We also have the admin clerk, and the admin clerk's role really is to coordinate all the things that are happening within the system, like making sure that the moderators and assessors do their work, that they send in their invoices for payment. She makes sure that she engages the right facilitator for the right training program that is going on. And she also makes sure that she coordinates my diary and also coordinates the work of the business development or telesales consultants. When they bring in business, they hand it over to her to then make sure that it runs. So she really coordinates everything within the system, making sure that everything in the system runs smoothly. And looking at that structure, I want to talk about what Adelpha in 1997 defined as a group as formal and informal relations, conscious and unconscious. So when you look at us as a structure, we can see the organizational structure as the formal way that we have probably designed our organization to operate. But based on what Adolpha says, there is formal and informal relations, conscious and unconscious. So even though we've defined our structure and we've laid it down, these are the conscious processes we have sort of designed. But we under the radar is the unconscious processes that are going on in terms of how we are connecting and disconnecting at an emotional level. And so the group as a whole, when you look at it, as well also said, it has 5 levels, and these 5 levels include the intrapersonal, so how a person is experiencing being part of the group, their own internal processes, and then the interpersonal, so using those internal processes, how someone is experiencing the group to connect or you almost disconnect with another, and at the interpersonal level, you can experience, the teamwork, or you can also experience the conflict because of the personal emotional experiences within the structure. And when you also look at the structure, you look at it as a group as a whole. So you've got those different functions, the different roles to make sure that we accomplish our primary task, which is basically to provide training into the industry, whether private or public entities. So we provide training to the public and private organizations. We also have the intergroup, which is we have teams within the group, but because our organization is very small, we actually don't have many teams. Our team is very small. We are a total of about 4 people, so we are very small. So there is no intergroup, there is just one team, but there is interorganizational, which means we work with corporates, we work with other people outside of us to provide them training, but also to hire services where there is need, when we need services for our own organization. So this is almost like a definition, or sort of an insight into the processes that goes on within the system, and this is based according to Wells, who talks about the 5 levels of an organization. Green and Mollkamp in 2005, also using Beyond's BART model, talk about how each organization or each system has got the different functions, and each different function has boundaries, the authority, and the role that they play to make sure that the primary task is actually accomplished. So we have the primary task as an organization, but we also have functional tasks, which means each individual is actually operating or doing the task that they need to do to make sure that we achieve that primary task. So the role has a function, but each role also carries with it formal and informal authority. So you can see the formal authority on the structure, but as we go to discuss the presenting problem and also the consulting feedback that I received based on this issue, there will be a realization that even though people have been given formal authority, there is also the informal authority that is going on within the organization. So my presenting problem is that we hired a new member to join us. So the new member joined the telesales. So I had one telesales consultant. So I hired a new telesales consultant to join the team so that we can grow our sales and marketing. So the new consultant, when he has come in, so it's a he, when he has come in, we started experiencing some sort of emotional turbulence within the system, within the organization. And this is because he came in presenting some new ideas, and we have been operating maybe for the past 3 to 4 years. It's just the three of us, so we've really bonded well, and probably we have a lot of unconscious processes and said things that we just have learned to live with. And so he comes in, and he does not adhere to sort of the authority, doesn't conform. So he refuses to conform. When we talk about this is the way you use the process, this is the way you use the system, he tries and do his own thing, like bulk emailing, which is actually illegal. But also, just getting into our emailing system where he's actually not even supposed to actually get in there. But he's also presented some new ideas. But what has happened is that as he's doing all this thing, I'm hardly in the office, so I am always on the road presenting, training outside of the office. So the experience is what's going on is the new people in the existing team that has been in there, the admin lady and the other new development consultant. The one is feeling really sad because this guy will talk about, this is my sort of my new lead, or he will actually indicate that you are stealing my lead. So he will talk about all these things that are probably frustrating to the other consultant who has been there for a while. So he feels really threatened and he feels sad, and he's also frustrated. To the admin lady, she feels really frustrated because when she tells him what to do, he does his own thing. He comes up with excuses or simply just ignores what he has been told, so he doesn't want to conform. So I am, on the other hand, holding my hand. I'm not in the office. I don't see what is happening. All I receive is reports of what is going on. So it's almost like I'm very anxious, and I feel like I feel like he's really driving me mad because he's creating all these things that I'm hardly in the office to actually sort out. So yes, I'm holding my head there, thinking, what do I do? So that is my presenting problem. And based on the consultation that we received, I think before I get into the consultation, just to go back to Wells again, where he talks about, within a group, within a team, we struggle with fusion and also isolation. So we want to bond, we want to create a functional team, but we also want to remain an individual. So there's that ambivalence that is created because we want to connect, but we also want to remain as an individual. We want to be interdependent, but we also want to be independent. So Wells talks about the derivatives that come out of that, sort of struggle to connect, but also struggle to remain as an individual. And he says this primordial ambivalence, this tension, this emotional experience usually end up causing people to split. And looking at our system and the presenting problem, so we split. All we came to was, this is bad. This new hire is bad. He is bad. he doesn't fit in this system. So we're splitting, and instead of looking at what is going on as a whole, we are trying to find a way to defend ourselves from what is going on. And one way of defending self from what is going on is splitting, just making sure that you define things as good or bad. So in our approach, we had really looked at, this is a bad guy, this is a bad guy for our organization. But what also happens with the projective, with the splitting, is that we then sort of experience projective identification. So he comes in, he's got a level of anxiety, a level of frustration with the way we function. And what is now happening is that everybody in the system has some level of frustration, some level of anger. And this affects the group just start, which is the mentality, the group mentality, where we now sharing the projective identification. We all now have the anxiety, the frustration, and the anger because of what is going on. And based on the consultation that I received when I presented the problem, one of the sort of feedback I got was the individual is actually experiencing what is going on in the team. So the individual is actually, a container. He is expressing what is happening in the team that we probably have not been using. And this is where we're looking at using the individual experience as a diagnostic of the group. So explaining my experience to the consultants, they were then able to use my own personal experience to sort of diagnose what's going on in the team. And so one of the feedback that I got is that the new person is disrupting the status quo to go in a new direction. So he's actually a change agent. And because change is never really, easy, or change is usually challenging. So, humans would rather remain the same than change, because change brings with it some emotional turbulence. So this guy is probably trying to sort of help us to move in a new direction or change the ways we've been doing things, but we have not been seeing it as that way. And then the other feedback I got was, he is new and he's coming in, and by asking him to conform, we're de-skilling him. So he can no longer now exercise his authority, exercise what he knows about his role, because we are asking him to conform. So there's a level of de-skilling that is going on. Also, another feedback was, maybe you need an office manager, because I'm hardly in the office. I hardly see what is going on in the office because I'm always outside training and consulting. So therefore, the frustration I'm experiencing is that I'm not able to actually help the team, and probably it's time that I probably think about finding an office manager, so that they can actually be hands-on and seeing what is going on. The other feedback I got is that, what is he seeing that you're not seeing? So he's new, he's coming into the system. We've been in the system for a while, which means probably we can't see anything. We've conformed so much that we probably can't see certain things that are going on, the certain dynamics. So he's coming in and is seeing what we're probably not seeing. And instead of giving him sort of room to sort of share his experiences, or almost share what's going on with him, we are actually just splitting and looking at him as bad. Also looking at the admin who runs the sort of the coordination of the training, and coordination of everything that's going on in the team. The feedback I also got is, the right hand person does not have tools. So while she's engaging the facilitators and the assessors, all she does is she makes sure she gives them the dates, the travel dates, and then she has to get their invoices and pass on them to me, because I have to do the payments. So she has to really wait on me and depend on me, and sometimes I'm actually not even available. So she's there trying to do all this work, and yet she actually does not have the tools that she needs to, or the authority that she needs to actually be able to exercise and take up her work accordingly. And then also looking at the whole sort of experience. The other feedback I got, these are three siblings crying together. So looking at the informal and subconscious, so looking at the group as a mother, where the group actually nourishes the individuals. And so the informal part of the team experience is that these three guys. They've now become three siblings. They are sort of crying together, where informally I am mothering them, because I'm telling them what to do, I'm telling them when to do it, and also almost controlling, what goes on in terms of, you're going to make payment, you approve certain things. They almost have no sort of authority. So it's almost like a mother mothering these three individuals. So my experience was that really a lot of awareness raised. So a lot of things I probably would have carried on thinking, this guy is bad, this guy doesn't fit in the team. But I think from the experience, from the feedback, from the consulting, it was really amazing, and aha moments where I realized, oh my goodness, oh, this is actually happening. And I must acknowledge that, at some level, when the feedback was coming in, because receiving feedback sometimes says you need to grow, there's room for improvement, you have to change certain things. And so at some level, when the feedback was coming in, I think there was some level of defensiveness, but I think awareness helped me to sort of self-regulate and just be open-minded to receive the feedback, and then give myself time to sort of reflect and ponder on that feedback to see if it actually is true. And I must say, after really thinking about it, thinking through, I realized that the feedback was indeed true, and I'm actually looking at working with that feedback to make certain changes. My experience as a consultant, I think a lot of hesitance. So doing the free association, trying to give feedback to the person in terms of their experiences, there is always that, personal experience and the personal input. So when we come into the organization, we also bring our personal, individual personalities and characteristics. So sometimes you're looking at the raw, but also sometimes you're looking at what personality, what aspect of the individual has been triggered by this experience or by this role. So almost trying to sort of balance between giving the personal versus the raw feedback. So a lot of hesitance because of, you're trying to sort of create your own awareness, but also you're trying to create your own sort of competence before you actually, give the feedback. And I think also insight through the association and realizing that your instinct kicked in. So initially, you'd probably think, I probably will not be able to associate. I probably will not be able to pick anything from the picture that has been presented. But it was amazing that the instinct actually kicks in, and you begin to actually experience or see and things that you probably, would probably not have seen. So that was amazing to see that the experience kicks in. And I think on a whole level, the feedback was very useful because it raised awareness. And as mentioned earlier, I've started working with the feedback to make some relevant changes. And I think this is my organizational analysis, raw analysis, and I just want to say thank you.